Okay, tonight the Ranger's gonna get a heater. Got my doors on there. The engine heat is actually warming it up to a certain point, but as soon as it gets colder, that's not going to work. Plus, if I get wet or any kind of moisture gets into the cab, I'm going to have a fogging issue and all the windows are going to fog up. So I need a heater. You can see I got this thing tore apart. I got a plan and right now I'm executing it. Here's the heater I went with. It's a heater from Summit Racing. It's actually the 16-inch heater. It's the biggest heater they have. I've used the I believe it's a 9-inch. I've used the 9-inch on a Ranger before, and that worked out okay. I went with the bigger one just because these older Rangers I don't think are quite as sealed up as the newer ones, and the newer style, that was a 2008 I believe, was the one I used the smaller heater on. So I want to get as much heat as possible. So I went with the bigger one, but that did cause me trouble because it is so big. It's got the grill here for three 3-inch holes. You can see it's just like a heater core in your vehicle. Heat runs through it. It's got a blower here. It's got 3 speeds and an off. This is your inlet and your outlet. Actually, it's the other way around. Your inlet's here, your outlet's there. 5/8 heater hose is the size that goes in there. It comes with wiring instructions, controller. I believe it comes with everything except for a power wire and a fuse, so you will need that stuff. I also picked up the ducting kit. This is the Defrost kit, but I'm probably going to switch it around. I'll show you what I'm doing with that because there's really no flat part on the dash to run a defrost. So that's the Defrost kit. This is the regular ducting kit. They give you 2 deals. I got an idea where to put those to. These will probably act as my defrost and my upper vent, which should work out just fine. And 3-inch hose to do the job. Wire ties to tie everything up. So the heater, like I said, because it's such a big heater, the only place I can figure to put this thing is right here. Okay, that kind of created a problem because the intake for the clutch and the intake for the motor come up right through them holes. There's the hoses right there. Then they got these big things on here for pre-filters, and they stick up right here. Well, them have to go because the heater's got to go in there. I'm going to bolt it down right on this cross member. There's 2 holes there. I drilled 2 holes there, and it's going to bolt onto this big cross member that goes across here. So those intake tubes, they're right there. You can see them right there and right there. I made myself some adapters to give me an angle. See, they're an angle. Like one's 15 degrees, one 18 degrees. I'm going to angle them so I can bring them out this hole right here. So they're basically going to be sticking right here and right here out of this hole. I will probably end up snorkeling this thing. Not because I'm going to go through deep water, but because to get this stuff out of the engine bay. So this is the air intake's kind of a temporary deal until I can probably snorkel it and get the intake tube somewhere else, somewhere out of the engine bay. So I believe that's got you caught up to where I'm at. I'm gonna put the heater in there, bolt it down for the last time. I tried to get the heater inside under the dash, or even underneath here. There's a little bit of room in here, and it's just too big of a heater. There's no way it's gonna fit. Another thing is the heater is above the cooling system. This is the highest point of the cooling system on the Rangers, and the newer ones are the same way. You can see it's even with the top of the radiator, and my heater is going to be above all that, so it's going to be a little more difficult to get the air out of the system. I'm going to show you a little trick that I do to try to help and get all the air out. Now I've done this on 2 other Rangers, and it's worked very well. Had no problems with air getting trapped in the system, so I don't see why it's not going to work for this Ranger. And like I said, this is pretty much the only spot right there that big heater is going to fit in. So let me get some stuff bolted in here, and I'll be back. Okay, so I got the heater installed in position, and before I put my intake tubes in here, I'm going to splice into my radiator hose. I've got these deals here made up. This goes from a 5/8 to a 1-inch, and I'm thinking maybe 1 inch might be too big. I thought 1 inch was the radiator hose on the Ranger, but I'm thinking maybe that might be too big. But here's what I got made up. These are just fittings that I got at the local Tractor Supply. I believe they are sprayer fittings. They're plastic. I put some RTV on the threads. This is all I'm going to splice in to the cooling system. I'm going to run the entire coolant from the engine, the water pump, after the thermostat. It's going to get pumped into the heater here. Then it's going to go from this heater into the radiator and then back into the motor. So I'm not going to have a T or nothing. I'm running all the coolant through this heater. The way I'm going to do it, like I said, I'm going to cut the hose, the upper hose, right about in there somewhere. And then I'm going to put my adapters on, and I'll show you once I get them in here. If I get them in here, I have a feeling, like I said, that 1 inch isn't going to work for these. Another thing you're probably thinking, I am shrinking it down an awful lot. But like I said before, I've done this before, had no issues with the Ranger at all. Shrinking this down to the 5/8 into the heater, running all the coolant through there. I've had no issues. So this is the way I'm going to do it. Well, it looks like I'm shut down tonight. The hose is 1 inch, but the inside diameter of the hose is 3/4 of an inch. So the 1 inch is too big, ain't gonna work. I need 3/4. So it's too late to go get an adapter now, so I'll be back at it tomorrow. Okay guys, back out here. Just got done watching the race. Watched Gordon win at Martinsville. Logano got a little bit of his own medicine. Junior was 4th, ain't bad. But I got my adapter here, put them together before the race. The RTV should be set up good enough. I got a 3/4 inch adapter to go into the radiator hose. That's the top radiator hose, and then I got my 5/8 to go into the heater that the Summit heater. Summit racing heater is a 5/8 in, 5/8 out. The factory Polaris radiator hoses are 1 inch outside diameter, 3/4 inside diameter. So I'm going to stick that on right there. Let me get a light. So there is the hose after I cut it, and I cut it towards the top there, so I don't lose very much fluid. So that's kind of the reason I do that. It's easier to get to it up here. So I'm going to stick my adapter on this end. I'll put the other adapter on the other end, and then I'll run this one, which is the one coming up. Normally would go into the radiator. I'm going to run it from here to my heater core, my heater right here. Then I'm going to run the output, the out of the heater, and I'm going to run it back into the input of the radiator. So basically, all the antifreeze is going to go through my heater after the thermostat opens. I know a lot of people think that's going to be a problem, but I've done this in the past, and it's all worked out. I've had plenty enough heat. So I'll do a deal, and I'll time it when the range is cold, how long it does take to actually get heat and everything. I got to get it installed here first, so let me get my adapters on there, get my hoses to the back, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's what I have now with the adapters installed. You can see this is the one that's going to go to the inlet of the heater. This is going to have the outlet of the heater coming to it. So I'm going to get my 5/8 hose, start routing it, and get everything hooked up here. Okay, so I got my connections made. My hose is routed here. They are going to the back of the heater there. You can see I've got one not hooked up because this is what I'm going to do to help bleed the air out of the system. I'm going to fill this heater core up. I'm going to fill that hose up. I'm going to fill up all the stuff that I lost when I clipped the radiator. So I'm going to fill all these hoses up with antifreeze. I'm going to fill up my little bottle a little bit. And that should really help get all the air out of the system, because the heater is actually higher than the rest of the cooling system. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to fill that up so I can seal this the coolant system up, and then I'm going to move on to the intake for the clutch and engine. Okay, I got everything hooked up here. The air things are kind of rigged up there. Also, I need new pre-filters in them. The old ones were just junk. That's kind of rigged up in there, but like I said, probably going to end up snorkeling this and getting all that out of the hood. The important thing is everything is fitting under the hood. Got my lines all hooked up in the back. I filled it up. And you're going to spill antifreeze everywhere. I'm going to hose it out and dilute it all. I even got some in the cab I got to rinse out. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up my vents. I'm going to hook my vents, 3-inch vents up, and I'm going to run them. And I'm going to show you, once I get them routed, where they're going. Okay, so here's my vent kit. There's one vent. Here's my other vent. You need a 3-inch hole for this to go in somewhere. Okay, so after looking and thinking and looking and thinking, there's really no place on this dash to actually put a 3-inch hole, except where there's already almost a 3-inch hole. This is the cup holder. There's another cup holder on that side. I've already took it out. I used the Dremel with the bit. It's like a free cut bit. Works really good on this plastic for cutting holes in this plastic. So I just kind of enlarged it slightly, and that's going to go on there. Might have to enlarge it a little bit more to get it to snap in there. So that's where these are going. And what these will be able to do, I'll be able to defrost with these. I'll be able to blow the hot air on me towards the window. So I'll be able to aim these wherever I need the air. So these are probably going to be my, well, they're not probably, they're going to be my defrost. So this is going to be defrosting the window. I'm going to put another one over there. I'm going to route my vent. Then probably going to put the defrost vents down on the floor. So I'll have one going to here, one going to there, and then my third vent, I'm going to have it going down there. I'm going to zip tie these vents here so I got warm air blowing on the bottom. So this is actually the defrost kit. It's supposed to go on the dash blowing on the window. There's nowhere to do that. There might be one spot on the dash that would allow you to do that. Right about there, maybe one, but you're not going to get it anywhere else. I think this is the best solution for this style Ranger. So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to get this hole a little bit bigger, move on to that one, and keep moving. Okay guys, I got everything routed. This was pretty difficult. You can see the two outside holes. Went to the vents there and there, and I had to kind of squeeze the hose through the roll bar right there. Kind of had to squeeze it up to get it in there. And it's a tight fit in there. Pretty difficult to get in there. Same way with this one. Had to squeeze it in between the bar and then squeeze it up in there. Hopefully it'll work out. Find out. The middle vent is my foot vents. You can see they start out with a 3-inch and then narrow it down. There's a Y right here. And it Y's off. That one tucked in there. Pretty much the only spot it would go through. It's getting pretty difficult to show you guys where everything's going, but then this one over here went underneath there, and I'll show you where they are. Oh, there's the one vent for under my feet, and then there's the other one over there. They're just rigged up right now. I think I might want them aimed downward a little more, but I want to see this thing work. I'm almost positive it's going to work, but I can fine tune it later on. I'm just trying to get it done right now. I got the hole drilled in my dash right there for my switch. So I've started the wiring. There's the wiring they give you. It's got a yellow, red, and orange. They give you a harness. You plug it in right there. Okay, and then there's a black wire they give you. I have grounded it right there. See, that's the black wire right there. Okay, And then you've got these 3 wires you got to feed to your switch. The red, the yellow, and the orange. They go on the switch. You've got the yellow one right there, the red one right there, and the orange one right there. That's low, medium, and high. This one's not used. This one here is the wire from the positive on the battery. Okay, these are all 16 gauge wire. I'm going to use a 14 gauge for my power wire. Got a fuse holder here. 15 amp fuse is what they recommend. I got some wire here, 14 gauge again. I'm going to run that to the right to the positive of the battery. I'm not going to show that. I think you guys can, if you can't wire a positive to the battery and run it to the switch here, you probably shouldn't be doing this job. So I'm going to get all my electrical connections plugged in. I'm going to get my switch in there, and then I'll be back. Okay, I said I wasn't going to show this, but I figured why not. There's my wire hooked in. I got about 1 million wires. I'm going to have to probably come up with some way to make a block or something. Anyway, this is it. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fuse in. Best routing I've found for these older Rangers is going down to the frame down there, going underneath the floorboard. You can see I've got a bunch of wires going through there. Then you go right on the edge, right on the corner. You go up. That ends you up right there. I can't do with the thing, but you ended up right about there. And you want to go up behind that switch. You can see all the wires there that I've got run through. You go up and then up into that plastic thing, up under the hood. That's about the safest place I can find to run wires. So I'm going to probably zip tie my wires up here and make sure they're not in the way of anything. I've got my switch hooked up. Like I said, I'm gonna put my fuse in last. There's all my wires hooked in. Put my fuse in. I'm gonna put it up in there. Put it up in my hole. Put my faceplate on. Put my fuse in, and we're gonna give this thing a test. Okay, so the wiring is all buttoned up. Got everything plugged in, wired out of the way of dangerous, sharp parts, hot parts. Got my switch in here. Go low, medium, and high. A lot of air coming out of vents. A lot of air. This system should be able to cook me right out of here. Now I'm probably gonna have to angle them vents down, them bottom ones. I don't think they're angled down quite right. So everything's working, looks like. I'm gonna fire this thing up, start bleeding the air out of it. I'm gonna rinse off the antifreeze I've spilt all over the place. Rinse out my floorboards here. Probably rinse that out underneath there a little bit. And let it run, start getting the air out of the system, I guess. Okay, so I just took it for a test run and I let it cool down. Popped my radiator cap off. Topped that off. It actually took quite a bit of antifreeze. So I'm letting it warm up again. Might go for another quick run and do the same thing. According to the temperature deal, I'm getting about 90 degrees out of the heater here. I'm not sure if that's what I'm supposed to be getting out of there or not, but I think I'm gonna go for another test run here with it. See what happens. Okay, you're gonna want to check your radiator for the next probably 4 or 5 trips, and you're gonna want to keep topping that off to get the air out. It's gonna be a little difficult to get all the air out of this because the heater is higher than the rest of the cooling system. So it's probably going to take a little time to get all that air out. But like I said, I've done this with 2 other Rangers, and once you get the air out, you know, I've had no problems with it. Enough heat for all winter. I'm in Wisconsin here, so if it's good enough for Wisconsin, it's probably good enough for most places. But the second time I added coolant wasn't quite as much as the first time, so I'm guessing the next 2 or 3 I'll have it topped off. But I got the vents there. I showed you that in the shop there. Got my switch there. I think I showed that too, but I can't really do a review on this thing because it's like 65, maybe getting close to 70 right now. Kind of hard to do a review on a heater when it's this warm. It's going to be 70 the next 3 days too, so can't really do a review on it. Like I said, the thermometer said about 90 some degrees, the air coming out of the vents. So the only way I'm going to tell if this thing's going to work is to actually get some cold weather, and that's not, we don't have any right now. Another thing is I don't have the cab completely sealed up still. You can see I ain't got my back panel, so we're getting lots of air escapage right there. So I guess the review on this heater is gonna have to come another day when I get some more time on it. I don't see why it won't work. Like I said, I've done this with 2 other Rangers. The first Ranger, I actually made my own heater core. Second Ranger, my sister's. I bought the Summit Racing heater, but I bought the smaller one. This one I went with the bigger one to get more heat. One thing I'm kind of noticing, I don't know if I'm just being too hard on it right now, seems like the blower motor isn't as strong as the one my sister had, the smaller Summit Racing heater. I don't know, maybe if I'm just being a little too hard on it right now. The only way we're going to know if it's going to work is to actually get some cold weather, like I said. So I guess later on, after I get some time with this heater, I'll do a review. I guess this will just be the install video. So I guess that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.